Strippers of Reddit. What really happens in a private VIP dance? My friend stopped stripping after she had one guy come in and ask for her, and they went to one of the private rooms for a dance. And all he wanted her to do was let him rest his head in her lap. He paid to spend the entire night until closing just resting in her lap as she stroked his hair and they talked about random stuff, but spent the most time on anime since they both enjoyed that. She said it took an emotional toll on her that she can't explain, but she could never go back. Not quite the same vibe. But in Poland, my partner and I decided to go to a strip club. We paid for a private dance for us both together. The stripper was gyrating on the floor and kind of fell off the little stage and rolled under the curtain. It was hilarious. She was professional about it and came straight back in and carried on like we didn't just watch her do a backwards roly-poly out of the room. I've gone to a few clubs in my single younger years. Experiences ranged from regular dances, grinding, being propositioned for sex, making me come in my pants, over-the-clothes blowjob, surprisingly good, fingering the dancer, and intense dry humping. User experience may vary. Overall, if you go to a strip club and treat it like a regular bar with boobs and treat the girls like humans, you will have a fun time. I've never gone with any expectations or requested any of the above experiences. They were always the stripper's idea. It was the real what the fuck. It was, and it blew my mind, pun intended. On a road trip going through Idaho, and we stopped at a club next to some Air Force base. Random and seedy, but this one stripper was one fire. Amazing pole work, smiles, sober, funny. It was a good time. In the VIP area, after grinding, she pinned my dick in my pants so it was well defined through my clothes. She then put her mouth over it and slid up and down while doing different things with her tongue, all while grinding on my leg body. I came. Told my buddy I was traveling with, and he got the same treatment. Definitely unique and clearly her competitive advantage. A buddy of mine got super drunk after a breakup and passed out in a VIP section. She just kept dancing and security wouldn't let us in there and eventually threw us out altogether. Had to call the cops to get them to let us go get him. They were literally just trying to rob him. I'll never go back to another one again after that experience. Emo, this is pretty standard. VIP dance is where they make their money basically doing credit card fraud on drunk idiots. I've never done it, so I can't say with certainty, but let's say the cover is $30 and you bring $50 in ones to tip. That's not the big fish. The big fish is the drunk idiot paying thousands for a bottle of champagne and a 1-hour lap dance. It's pretty common for clubs to get back charged by guys who got too drunk and bought a VIP and then claim their card was stolen or used against their will. One corporate club I worked at enforced a super strict policy. Before buying a VIP, you had to sign an entry form. They'd take your fingerprint next to it, and your signature had to match the one on their credit receipt and the back of your card. If it didn't match, they'd make you rewrite it. Sometimes the club had the patron call their bank beforehand to confirm the charge if the amount was high enough, like $10,000 plus. I'm sure guys get duped at other clubs, but no one was accidentally buying a dance at this place. I preferred selling booth dances anyway, so I fortunately didn't have to sit through that slog too often since it was a huge boner killer. Depends on the girl. I once had a guy who wanted me to punch slap and put my 6-inch heel in his balls. I tried, but just couldn't do it. I said he needed a hug, but I went and found him this real mean girl so he could get what he wanted. Team player. Teamwork makes the dream work. The year is 2016, in Vegas with some buddies for March Madness. Find ourselves at Spearmint Rhino on the last night of the trip, all wasted and exhausted. 2 brothers on the trip disappear in the VIP room. They are in no shape to be making decisions like that. 2 hours go by and they are still gone. I know something is going on, and I'm also ready to GTFO of that place. It was around 3 a.m. I go to the VIP room and ask to go speak with them. Bouncer, who was legit 7 foot 450, told me I was not allowed back there. I turned to walk away, then attempted to sprint past him. Ended as you might imagine with me sitting in the parking lot. Next morning, those guys wake up with wicked hangovers and $7,000 in charges to their credit cards, saying they only got champagne and food. That strippers kept bringing to the table for them to pay for that. They didn't order. You'll get fucked in the champagne room one way or another. Not a stripper, but had a friend who was for a few years. She had a regular who would buy an hour in the VIP room just so he can have the girls act like he was a dog. Not really degrading, just more he was the loved family dog. He tipped very, very well and said she never even had to take off her cloths or touch him aside from pats on the head. Something tells me the poor fella doesn't get much affection. I'm not a strip club regular by any stretch. 3 visits in 38 years, but one of those was for a bachelor party in MTL with a bunch of hockey guys. One of the other guys grabbed me and 2 girls, and it was actually a good, non-sexy time. Yeah, the girls were dancing and bottomless, but the vibe was light. Lewd but easy and funny conversations, genuine belly laughs, all good stuff. Anyway, I bring this up because at the end, the girl that was dancing on him made an offhand comment about him being a dog, and he asked her to take off his belt and use it like a leash. She walked him like a dog on all 4s up and down the dancing area for 5 minutes or so at the end of the dance, and it was one of the funniest things I had ever seen in my life. Most of the time, private dances are just stripping down until you're naked and grinding on their junk. Some guys fixate on a certain body part and want to see that mostly. Motorboating was a big hit, lol, like some guys like boobs, booties, or feet. It's honestly whatever the customer wants and the dancer is willing to do. Of course, there are club rules that need to be followed. I was a dancer about 10 years ago, and for the most part, I enjoyed it. A guy once paid me $100 to kick him as hard as I could in his balls. Another guy paid me $100 to sniff a line of coke off my ass. Another guy liked when I did circles with my finger around his nipples, and paid thousands of dollars over 6 months to do so. Another guy paid me $50 to smell my feet and to put them on his face. These are examples off the top of my head. There are many more I'm forgetting. The first time I went to a strip club, a friend bought me a private dance. While she was doing her thing, she whispered in my ear, "I'll let you fuck me in the ass for $200. I declined, saying I didn't have that much left on me. Then she said, "How about $50? I said I didn't have any cash left on me. I take credit. So I guess sometimes that happens. Edit. Some folks have been asking, and no, I politely declined. Used to go to strip clubs every weekend when I was in the service. Dirty strip clubs get right down to BJs, sex, anything you want. It's a sketchier version of a whorehouse. The nice clubs are mainly just dances until you splash some serious cash. Even then, it's mostly BJs. I took my buddy for his first time ever going to a strip club, and I thought he got robbed. He came out of the room and I saw him signing for a $750 payment. I got pissed and was like, "Hey, what is this?" He told me not to worry about it. After we got away from people, he was like, "I just got a double blowjob. This is the best day of my life." Please respect the dancers. Just because you drop money doesn't mean you're going to automatically get what you want. Be chill with them and communicate. If you want something extra, make it obvious up front. Not all of these ladies are cool with that kind of thing. Sometimes it's nice to just chill and have a sexy chick dance around and have a conversation. It may open more doors or it may not. Just don't expect them to do anything they aren't 100% cool with. Also, you can have boundaries too. Like, "No babe, sorry, I have a no kissing rule too." I was a stripper in the past, and I once had a man spend 2 champagne half hours, $500 per half hour, for me to tell him about myself, what my future plans were. Also had a different dude pay me $50 to sniff my armpits. Then paid me $50 more to go downstairs to the locker room, wipe off my deodorant, and let him smell them again. I had an armpit fetish guy too. The entire time we talked, he just kind of kept his hands in my armpits and would smell his hands occasionally. I didn't dance with him, but a guy did pay me $50 to give me a foot rub and lick my toes, and that was weird. I was a bouncer at a strip club for a while, and had a regular come in that would pay a couple of the girls to pee in a cup so he could drink it. Which is gross enough, but whatever. The more messed up thing is that the girls would usually have one of her other regulars pee for her, and then pass it off as her own. So the poor bastard was drinking some random guy's piss instead, the flowery champagne that apparently came out of the girls. I know it's not technically worse because piss is piss, but it just seems instinctually more nasty to drink dude piss. My roommate, who was a stripper, used to have a regular who just wanted her to grind her high heels into his junk. According to her, private dances run from not much happens to sex. Depends on the bar, depends on the dancer. She herself mostly had regular customers who came in to have somebody to hang out with. Basically, she sat half-dressed or naked and just chatted. She still came home outraged a lot of the time because somebody had offered her a few $100 for sex of some sort. Some of her friends, if the offer was enough, would go further. Further than sex? What am I missing out on? Have you not tried sex too? Taxes, legal advice, various odd jobs. An ex-girlfriend went to a bachelorette party at a seedy male strip club. She came home from the party and said, "Well, the wedding is off." She said the bride was getting the usual treatment, sitting in a chair with strippers gyrating around her, whipping dongs around, and then one put whipped cream on his cock and invited her to lick it off. Which she did with her tonsils, until the stripper shoots his load all over the front of her "I'm the bride" t-shirt. About this moment, the bride kind of comes to her senses, looks around and sees like 20 of her friends pointing cell phones at her recording and taking photos and starts freaking out. My girlfriend says she started screaming at everyone, "You better delete that shit," and generally having a full rage meltdown, which is apparently tough to take seriously when you're basted in stripper jizz. This tale of modern romance closes very shortly later with the bride's phone ringing a call from her fiancé, who has already received photos from her friends of his bride to be with a cock stuffed in her mouth. I was buying lap dances from this stripper, like dance after dance after dance. Eventually, she says, "If you are going to spend this much money, you might as well buy some time in the executive lounge." I asked what happens back there. She looks at me dead serious and asks, "Are you a cop?" I say no. She responded S with "anything you want" and gives me a wink. So I drop the cash and go back there. A lot went on. She ended up blowing me after she pulled out some cocaine and offered to share it with me by letting me and I, quote, "live every guy's fantasy by doing cocaine off a stripper's ass." I don't do drugs, so I turned it down. It was a good time, though. Was about 19, my buddy and I went to a local club to hang out and watch pretty naked girls dance. One girl really caught my eye, she noticed, and offered to take me to VIP. Once back there, we chatted the whole time. She was really sweet and we totally hit it off. As our time was finishing up, she asked me if I would consider being her personal bodyguard for some parties. Of course I said yes. We went to one in particular, a group of volunteer firefighters, and she made great money. I got paid 10%. While I was there, the guys convinced me to go to EMT school. I made enough money that night to enroll in the next class and spent the next 15 years working as an EMT. Edit. Wow, did not expect this to blow up. Thank you for all the awards, upvotes, and comments. So just to follow up, I lost contact with the dancer shortly after that. She made some really good money that night, and may very well have made a career change herself. I'm not even sure I ever got her real name. I mentioned in the comments, if you know a woman, she'd be in her 50s now, that used to work at Deja Vu in Federal Way who worked a firefighter party with a guy she met at work as her bodyguard, please tell her thank you for me, and I think about her often. So the answer to what happens in the VIP room is sometimes opportunity and good life decisions. Sometimes I lost contact with her afterwards and never got to say thank you. So if any of you know a woman, now in her 50s, who used to work at Deja Vu and worked a party of firefighters with a random guy she asked to be her bodyguard, please tell her I remember her and am always grateful. I was a stripper at Club Paradise Las Vegas in the early 90s. The VIP room there was always filled with celebrities, tableside dancing was $30 a song, drinks cost more than the usual rate as well. The only difference was you were accepted to laugh at their stupid jokes and sit with them for hours. 90s David Lee Roth was insufferable. I made more money out on the main floor. I also strongly disliked the power dynamic switch of celebrity status. On the main floor, the girl is the attraction, and the guys were on their best behavior with a ton of tuxedo-wearing bouncers around. Up above, the customer is in total control, which to me the entire point of stripping versus working cocktails was eliminated when now the customer is the one who can snap his fingers and have people running around. If you are going to be half naked, control is important. I also worked for a bit down the road at Olympic Gardens, not nearly as nice. I have no idea what happened in their weird velvet curtain rooms, but I'm sure it involved STDs. And man, those girls walked out with so much cash in the morning, but they were always broke. I worked in a club one summer a few years back. My favorite memory was the time a guy bought a full hour of my time, and at one point, wow, by Post Malone came on while I was dancing for him in the VIP room. I always used to mouth along the words when my back was turned because I'm a sing while you work kind of person. I heard the guy quietly singing along and turned around to face him. We ended up singing along to the song together while I was dancing naked for him. I always think of that time whenever I hear that song now. Kinda sounds like the beginning of a love story, oddly enough. An older friend of mine paid for a private dance for me when I was just about to finish high school in Germany. Just turned 19 at the time. The stripper was so pretty it blew my young and inexperienced mind. When she took my hand and led me to the backstage room, she kept turning around, looking at me and giggling from time to time. I must have been like a deer in the headlights to her, and she enjoyed it to say the least. I was the most harmless, innocent, and smitten little boy ever, and I could tell it boosted her confidence to no end, rightfully so. Back then, I had never seen a woman this pretty with that little clothes on, at least not in real life. The lap dance was pretty wild. She eventually finished me by sitting on my lap and grinding on me until it all went into my pants. She even continued after the music stopped because she wanted to ruin my night, I guess. Even grabbed my face and made me look at her until I came, gave me a hug and a kiss on the cheek afterwards, and giggled like a schoolgirl when I left. Spent 10 minutes in the bathroom cleaning myself and then went home blushing all the way back. Worth it though. My time has come. I was 19 and was on vacation in Atlantic City with a group of guys from my high school. We went to a strip club one of the nights there, and me and my friend went to the back with these two very, very pretty ladies. I was young and sexually active, so my mind was all over the place with what might happen. When we got back there, the girls started dancing for us and taking turns grinding on each of our laps. Slowly, they started making out and touching each other. One thing led to another, many dollars were exchanged, and girl 1 started to go down on girl 2 who was laying on my lap. When I tell you guys I did not expect to finish in my pants that night, well, boy was I mistaken. I took that walk back to the hotel with the most uncomfortable pair of drawers. This was the single best time I could ever have in one of those clubs, and actually never went back to another one after that. I'm sure this will get lost in the new comments, but holy crap, have I wanted to tell this story to someone. Those girls changed my young life that night, and holy shit, am I glad I went into that club that night. I'm glad you came in your pants, dude. Seriously, makes me happy. Thank you so much for watching. Write your questions and stories in the comments, and be sure to subscribe to Threddit for the most incredible stories from threads and Reddit.